Dragon Ball Super is a really fun card game, and for the people that haven't seen me play or introduce the Dragon Ball Super to this channel, then click on that video. It's not only a tutorial on how to play Dragon Ball Z, it's also some gameplay to get you guys excited for it. One has to wonder, how expensive is Dragon Ball Z? Or Super, my apologies. Now, it is a card game that can get a bit expensive, but there are also some really cheap, viable options. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys a deck profile of my Dragon Ball Super deck, and it just so happens to be under $50. That's pretty good for a card game. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy the subscribe button. But more importantly, just kamehameha the notification bell, because we just too strong. Without further ado, I present to you my Vegeta cheap Dragon Ball Super deck profile. Okay, so I think we're going to start off with talking about my leader. My leader is Vegeta, and he has some pretty awesome effects. He's actually became one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z characters, not only because he was once a villain, but he has that Kaiba-esque feel, being kind of like a bad guy, good guy thing going on. But once per turn, you can take one card from your life and add it to your hand. Now, this would be, in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, be like paying 1,000 life points to draw a card. It's kind of free for him. When he hits 4 life, or when you use that effect, after he attacks the opponent, he does something called, you gotta give me a second, I'm kind of not, you know, good at this Dragon Ball Super terminology, but he gains critical. And basically what critical does, instead of the card being inflicted to your opponent going to their hand, it goes straight to what we would call the drop zone or the graveyard for the players that are Yu-Gi-Oh players. So if he has 4 or less life, which he can attribute himself to, you can flip him over. And that's when you go Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. His effect is the same as the older Vegeta, being able to add a card from your life to your hand and giving him critical, which denies your opponent advantage. He also, if you have, let me make sure, I don't want to get this wrong. If you have 7 or more blue energy, he gains 1,000 attacks. So pretty strong card, having a 2,500 leader right there, just attacking your opponent. Another thing, every time he attacks, you get to draw a card. So he's a pretty strong card. I like him as a leader, and I think he's pretty competitive. So starting off with the monsters, I call them monsters. We're gonna run 4 copies of Super Saiyan Overflowing Spirit, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Son Goku, and I'm just gonna grab one of these just so I don't mess up on its effects. Its first effect is, when this card inflicts damage to your opponent's life, you can place it to their drop area instead of their hand. So basically the exact same thing as our regular Vegeta. And during your turn, if you have 5 or more energy, this guy gains 1,000 or 10,000 power. So it's a permanent effect. He immediately becomes a 2,500 beater or 25,000 beater when he attacks and denies your opponent advantage. If you guys didn't know, we're basically running a blue deck. In Dragon Ball Super, there are multiple types of decks and they do certain things. Blue decks are energy ramps, so basically we try to get as many energy onto our field as possible to summon powerful monsters and gain their effects by using cards like Overflowing Super Saiyan God, whatever, Super Saiyan Go, whatever he wants to call himself, right? Next is probably one of my favorite cards, 4 copies of Whis, the Resting Attendant. Now, when he is summoned, I'm trying to remember his effect. When he is summoned, you get to place a card from your deck to your energy pile. When you play this card, add 1 card from your energy, or add 1 card to your energy from the top of your deck. So I was right. He is possibly, in my opinion, one of the best cards in the deck. Yes, he does require 4 energy to summon, but more importantly, he adds more energy to your energy pile. So he basically allows you to wrap up your deck really fast, and he's searchable. I don't like his 10,000 attack, but I do like his effects. Next is 2 copies of Energy Boosted Beerus. Now, I'm trying to remember. He has double strike, which basically means he can attack twice. Oh, I'm sorry, never mind. He inflicts 2 damage instead of 1, my apology. He also happens when you play this card, if you have 5 or more energy, you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and KO them. Battle cards are basically, they're monsters on their side of the field, other than their leader. So next is 4 copies of Mighty Attack Son Goku. I'm not a huge fan of this card. If I open him, I tend to put him into my energy, but he does have the critical effect, denying your opponent advantage. Yes, he does. Just making sure I know. I think that this is a really solid lineup for my 4s and my 3s. Also played Assailant Vegeta. I played 3 copies of him, and he also has the same critical effect. Basically, I feel like this is a pretty solid, strong lineup of monsters. or battle monsters. I don't know how to really enunciate them properly, so I'm just gonna stick to my Yu-Gi-Oh terms. And it's a really good thing. Once you get your energy ramped going on, you can start dominating your opponent. My other level 3 guys, I call them level 3 guys, my other cost 3 guys is Ultimate Judgment Jocko, and when you combo with this card, you can choose one card in your opponent's combo area and return it to their hand. I'm not a huge fan of Jocko. I think he's a really good card. Obviously, when you're combo with him, you really want to combo with him. You don't necessarily want to summon him because he doesn't have any effects when he summons. He's just a 16 beater. I guess if you're trying to get over your opponent's, certain opponent's monsters, but more often than not, you want to combo with him to disrupt your opponent's combo area. That's basically it for all of my big monsters. Now to my little guys. God, Dragon Ball Super deck profiles are harder. To my little guys, I run 4 copies of Energy Boosted Majin Buu. This is probably the best card in the deck. Literally, oh, not the best card, but it's the best card in the deck to start your combos. Let's put it that way. When he's summoned, you get to draw a card. So basically, you place an energy, he's your starter card, you summon him, you draw another card, and it basically digs deeper into your deck for more strategy or more of your combo pieces. I really do like Kid Saiyan Son Goku because he's never steered me wrong. He's another one of your starter cards, and when he's summoned, you get to look at 7 cards from the top of your deck and add 1 card that has Goku in its name from your deck to your hand. Now keep in mind, it doesn't have to, it doesn't matter if it has Goku right here, it has to have Saiyan or Son Goku right here at the bottom. As they say, Goku or Saiyan. Yeah, it has to be Son Goku at the bottom. So unfortunately, it can't add any Goku card. It has to be Goku at the bottom. Next is 4 copies of Bulma God Temper. Oh man, I'm terrible at this. But I like this card a lot too. Basically, these are really good starter cards. When it's summoned, you get to add my favorite card from the deck to the hand, which is Whis. And Whis is just like, at the very worst, you run 4 Whis. You just put it as an energy. It's literally, she summons herself and she adds an energy at the very worst from your deck to your hand. So I like her a lot. So far, I think the most expensive card that I've shown you to date is the Energy Boosted Majin Buu, which sits at $2 or $3. A card that I don't necessarily like, but I understand why I play it, is 3 copy of Furthering Destruction Champa. I like to call him Fat Beerus. I'm not really too deep inside the Dragon Ball Super, so don't ruin it for me, but I like to call him Fat Beerus. I know he's a completely different character. Basically, when you combo with this card, you choose one of your attacking cards, it gains double strike. It also inflicts 2 damage instead of 1. If you guys didn't know what double strike means, it's basically just explaining that. The reason why I don't like him is because in order to combo with him, you need to use 1 energy, but he does have 10,000 attack, and your monster does gain double strike. So it's like, it's kind of really good having the ability to double strike and crit your opponent, basically denying them advantage while keeping your own. It's a very big control deck. So that's basically it for the quote-unquote monsters. For the cards that assist the monsters, I run 4 copies of Senzu Bean, which I think is the most expensive card in the deck. This card is really good, so let me read it just to make sure. It says active battle, so when you attack, choose one of your cards, it gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Then choose up to 2 of your energy and switch them to active mode. So basically, you attack with your monster, you activate Senzu Bean after, you guys go through all of your normal precautions, and after you tap 1, you untap 2. So essentially, activating this card gives your monster 5,000 power, and it allows you to untap 2 mana, which basically is untap 1 mana, and basically this card is free. So I really like Senzu Bean. It's an awesome card because it gives you so much power to work with. And keep in mind, Dragon Ball Super isn't structured like Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't attack and then go to your main phase 2. You can attack, summon, set other monsters, activate other cards, then attack again, and then go right back to doing all that other stuff. So Senzu Bean is really good. 4 copies of Whis Coercion. This is a card that I was kind of iffy on, mainly because it's really good in theory. Basically, it stops an opponent's attack. It's an attack negator. It's really good at that. But I don't think you need 4 copies of them because your opponent isn't really like, by the time, if you work this deck the way that I've been working it, by the time your opponent's gonna attack you, you need Whis Coercion to stop you. But it's already like at that point where if I only need to block you once, I'm gonna finish you off. So I really felt that Whis Coercion is a really good card, don't get me wrong, but I felt that there's times where I just don't need 4. I probably play 3, but I'm still stuck to 4 because like I said, it's a really good card. You play really low energy at this deck and you start, destroying their energy, you might wanna stop them from attacking you a couple of times. So I'd probably keep it at 4, but if you play 3, it's kind of cool. Objection is also one of my most favorite cards in this deck. It requires 2 energy to play, but when you activate it, you can play a card from your hand into your energy. So let me make sure if I set that right. Yep, choose 1 card from your hand and add it to your energy. So in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, that sounds completely terrible. You have to give up 2 cards to play it, then you have to add a card from your hand to your energy. Now, in this game, your hand size doesn't really matter. Like, adding cards from your hand to your energy doesn't matter. The most important thing for this deck specifically is gaining energy. Drawing cards and adding cards isn't a problem. As you can see, we play so many little guys that search other cards. So adding that immediately to our energy, it's no problem, because on the next turn, it gives us more energy to work with. That's why I really like Objection. And then the last card is Encouraging Presence Manaka. And basically, it gives one of your monsters double strike, and you get to draw a card. I really think that the deck is good. The reason why I don't play any green is because green is kind of, it makes the deck over $50. They're kind of expensive cards in there, but don't get me wrong, I feel like green is a necessary piece if you guys want to take it to the next level. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys understood everything that I was saying out there, and even more importantly, this was my first time doing Dragon Ball Super as a card game, so I do tend to look to get better. I'm looking for other cards to run inside this deck, possibly even go inside the green and invest a little bit more money into the deck. It's a pretty cheap game. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support the #1 channel on the Yu-Gi-Oh planet, then go ahead and check out my Patreon. I have some awesome rewards for you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.